Okay, I'm on. We're set? Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Township of Wainfleet Regular Council meeting, June 22nd, 2021. And we're going to stand for the National Anthem, please. Thank you. And just by way of advisement, Councillor McClellan is just running a couple minutes late and will be here in a few minutes. I'd like to begin our meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof? Okay, seeing none. Move on to Mayor's remarks, which are brief as always. Please note the meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through the Township website and youtube.com. Over the weekend, on Saturday, I was pleased to attend a ceremony in our parquet here in Wainfleet, honoring the 215 Indigenous children from Kamloops. I'd like to thank those members of our community who organized that meeting. It was a very special and very moving meeting. It was very well done. Our next regular meeting of council will be held Tuesday, July 13th at 7 p.m. The Police Services Board will meet electronically at 8:30 on Thursday, June 24th. Regional Council will also meet electronically later that evening at 6:30. Our offices will be closed on Thursday, July 1st for Canada Day. Due to COVID-19 and the Stage 1 restrictions that will be in place at that time, we will not be hosting any events. We hope to be able to celebrate in 2022, and I'm really planning on 2022 being a great Canada Day celebration and right back to normal, so looking forward to that. And that's the Mayor's remarks. Are there any councillor remarks? Okay, seeing none. Move on to the adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting, June 1st, 2021. Any comments or corrections by anybody on that? Okay, seeing none. So we have a motion, the minutes of the regular meeting of council held June 1st, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Mover and seconder for that, please. Councillor Van Vliet and Councillor Gilmore. And is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. And we're doing a recorded vote still, right? So, Councillor McClellan. Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
And those minutes are accepted. Okay, we have no delegations. We move on to staff reports and recommendations. And we'll first go to our CAO, Will Colassa, for the COVID-19 impact report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Council. This report is the next in a series of what's becoming regular COVID updates. Currently, the Township, along with the province, are in step 1 of the province's reopening plan. Currently, under those conditions, And the township offices do remain closed to the public, but essential office appointments are being accepted, and they are subject to strict COVID protocols with entry tests and mask wearing and social distancing being maintained. We do continue to operate our offices with split shifts, with office staff rotating, and we do have restrictions on which staff are allowed to enter into the office on which days. And as you can see, we're back in the council chambers with members of council able to attend. Again, we do have to recognize that COVID protocols are still required to be in effect due to provincial rules. So there are limitations for people being in the council chambers. We have limited staff in here, and we are welcoming members of council to also participate electronically, as again, the fewer people that we're congregating remains still a feature of the reopening plan. Vaccinations are ongoing. There's a number of clinics scheduled throughout Niagara region between now and early July, and we anticipate additional dates in July being announced shortly. And that, for the most of it, sums up the report.
Thank you. So motion, admin staff report ASR 17-2021 respecting COVID-19 impact report be received as information. Mover and a seconder, please, on that. Councillor McClellan and Councillor Gilmore. And discussion, please. Okay, seeing no discussion, recorded vote. We'll start. Councillor McClellan is ready this time. Councillor McClellan. Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
And Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
And that is carried. Okay, we will move on to ASR 18-2021, requirements under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005. And I know our clerk is going to speak to that, Ms. Chufatelli.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to all of council. The purpose of this report is to provide for council's review and consideration of minor revisions to the township's accessibility policy to ensure compliance under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. In November of 2020, the township was notified by the ministry that it would be conducting a file review audit of the municipality, and the required revisions that were identified have been made and attached to the report. Once council has reviewed and approved the minor changes, the township will be in full compliance under the Act.
Okay, thank you. So the motion for that is the admin staff report 18-2021 regarding requirements under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act be received, and that the revisions to the township's accessibility policy be approved and adopted. A mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Cridland moves it, thank you, and Councillor Van Vliet. And discussion. Okay, seeing none. This is all mandated by the province of Ontario. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Will.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, I was going to say this is all mandated through the province of Ontario, and I'd like to commend staff and the township for all the efforts it's made to improve the accessibility in accordance with those provincial rules. There's a lot of policy work, there's a lot of investigations, there's a lot of physical work. I'll take this opportunity to point to the wall in the council chambers just near the entry door, where you'll see a new electrical fixture being installed above the cabinet there. As part of our ongoing efforts to improve accessibility, and in accordance with an audit that we had done last year and then we're slowly implementing, we're installing new fire alarm system components that when the alarm goes off, there will be an alarm going off in this room that will also have visual activation instead of just sound activation, so that persons who might be hard of hearing will see the visible strobe indicating that there's an alarm in progress. So, I mean, there's a lot of effort that's being undertaken by the township, and again, I commend staff for going through all the training, for doing all the work to make it happen. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions arise from that? Councillor McClellan.
Just the one, having gone through this, I see there's only a few places that are highlighted in red, so that's just what we have left to do. We're in pretty good shape, I would think.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, recorded vote. Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor.
And I am in favor. That is carried. Thank you. Move on to the corporate flag policy, and we'll ask Meredith to speak to that again, please.
Through Mr. Mayor, to all of council, council provided direction to staff at their May meeting to establish a corporate flag policy for the township. Part of that direction was to proceed with a wall mount flagpole to be placed on the exterior of the township building. Staff examined the building and did not see a reasonable location that would be easily accessible to staff, have appropriate visibility from the road, and maintain the heritage aspects of the building. So staff is seeking direction from council on a specific location for the flagpole and further to adopt the attached corporate flag policy.
Thank you. So we can have discussion on that, where we think that flag pole should be located. Councillor Van Vliet.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if we look at figure number 2 of the town hall here, what if we put it right here on the east side, right? No, right here. Right behind me, because that has nothing to do with the highway. Anybody agree, disagree?
We're just looking at the photographs
Oh.
there. So you're
So figure 2, which
Yes.
is like right behind me,
right.
doesn't involve the MTO, it's our own parking lot, and it's visible. Would this
Okay.
be a viable option?
Yep, that's one option. Yes.
It's visible in one direction.
Yep.
Right.
Councillor Gilmore.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I had the same question, like what's wrong with the northeast corner right here, right along the sidewalk between that downspout and the corner of the building? It's accessible to change the flag. It's more visible than if you put a pole up at the arena or anywhere else. So I was puzzled when I read that too, that there was no spot. I mean, that, to me, if you're gonna wall mount it facing east, you can see it everywhere. I mean, our sign might block it a little bit, but for a millisecond when a car's going by. So I had the same question.
Yeah, I know the concern there was the heritage value of the front of the building is what the concern was there, what I read. So who was first there? Councillor Van Vliet.
Just, what I was talking about was not attaching it to the building, but putting a pole right in the yard, right behind me. So if you look at figure 2, so the cars are parked there, you could put it, it has nothing to do with the MTO, it's all our own property, it's all township property. If you put because I understand nobody wants to attach it to the building because of the heritage of the building, I get that part. But right there on the lawn, that's all ours.
I think the only concern there was you wouldn't see it coming from the other direction, the south direction. Councillor McClellan, but viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Councillor McClellan.
So my one thought was not to put it at Town Hall and put 2 flags up at the new fire station, and then you see it in all directions when you go down number 3 highway. It'd be out there. It's a little bit of a delay, but it would be, we'd put 2 flags up. We'll put the Canadian flag up and put a second pole, or hang both of them off of a wall, and then they're both there, and as you drive down number 3, it's visible no matter how you go, and that's probably one of the busiest pieces of road in town, so.
Yeah, that's a good idea for sure. Councillor Cridland.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. The motion in front of us, it's sort of got 2 parts. So I just want to kind of clarify that we could certainly pass the policy acceptable to council, and then that gets the flags that do go up or we do celebrate with, or the community aspect of it. And then if we can do that maybe tonight, and then, you know, this is community, so maybe the community might like to have a bit of input into some location options. I don't think there's a rush. I think, we're all wanting to move forward with some kind of community placement and, place where we can celebrate these community events. So I don't think I would have the right answer right now, but I wouldn't mind if the community chimes in, if there was a way to do that easily. Maybe, we don't have to then move into the cost immediately either. Certainly the idea of a fire hall location, I hadn't thought of that. So if the council might like the community's input on something like this, it could be kind of, I'm going to say fun. So I might like to split it into two, where we definitely move forward with the policy part of it. And if there's support to maybe do something on the website, I don't know if that's a big deal, where they maybe rank their choices, and it might give us an idea of where the best placement is for the community.
Thank you, Councillor Cridland. And yes, I was looking at this as two separate identities. One is the policy, and the second one is location. So we'll have to have somebody make a move to receive the policy on its own. Regarding the location of the flag, Meredith?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, of Council. So within the policy, it is requiring us to put a location. So what we can do, if that's the direction of council, we could remove that for now, pass the policy. But I would seek direction as to what we're doing in the interim, if we're just going back to previous practice where we take the flag out and we do a photo op and bring it back into town hall, or what council would like to do from here.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Gilmore?
Thank you, Mayor. The other idea would be if you go to figure 4, and you could mount it on that post right under the I in Township, and then it will be visible, easy to get at. Like, I'm not buying the worrying about putting 2 legs in the side of the building when every downspout is for water has got legs. I'm not buying that, but if you don't want to put it there, okay. But maybe put it on that post, which was built in the 2000s, I suppose, and then it has no heritage value. Putting it at the fire hall is okay, as long as it's not another $6,000 flagpole. I don't want the first one. I don't want the second one, even less. And then it's not associated with what's going on either. That's my other problem. It's not in the complex. But so I think you need to go back and have a look around and, figure out how it's okay to leg the downspouts to the building, but not 2 legs for a wall-mounted flag. And then if we don't get over that, then look for somewhere else on this site.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion coming from that? I think that's a good viable solution. It's right there, it's visible. Yeah, it looks good as one potential. So does somebody want to make a motion that we work with or accept the current flag policy, less the well, what do you want to do? You want to go back and discuss further the location, or do you want to leave that with staff, or as Donna said, there's a survey possibility? Councillor Cridland?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I'll make a motion that we adopt the flag policy as presented, with the amendment that we continue to do what we've been doing. So I guess that's the first. So I'll move that. That's an amendment.
Okay, thank you. Seconder for that, please. Councillor Van Vliet. Okay, we'll just deal with that one first. Any discussion on that, accepting and receiving the new policy, flag policy? Okay, seeing no discussion, in favor or opposed, Councillor McClellan?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet?
In favor.
Councillor Cridland?
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore?
Favor?
And I am in favor. So that is carried. The new flag policy is in place without the location. And regarding the location, Councillor Gilmore?
Mayor, I would just move that we refer it back to staff, bring back a solid recommendation at the next meeting.
Okay, and so referred, that's automatically referred back. Okay, thank you. We still have a motion for that? Yeah, okay. I'm rusty. Mover and a seconder for that, moved by Councillor Gilmore, seconded by Councillor McClellan. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none. Okay, opposed or in favor? Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
And Councillor Gilmore.
In favor?
And I'm in favor. That is carried. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the fire staff report, 008-2021, the annual report. And we'll look to the fire chief for that, please.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of council. It's my pleasure this evening to present the 2020 annual review. This is a review that we've started beginning in 2019, and this is to cover off the 2020 year. You'll notice that although we responded to less calls, I'm fairly certain if you were to speak with any of our firefighters, the ones that we dropped were the ones that were minor in nature. The few that we did go to were the more serious ones, and that's shown in the stats below. We were able to maintain an average response time of the previous year of 8.5 minutes, which is down from 13 minutes when I started in 2018. A combined total of approximately 8,500 personnel hours between response times, training, events, meetings, and so on. And that's while still maintaining operations through all of the COVID-19 restrictions. You'll also recall that in 2020, we approved and implemented the new open air burn bylaw and the online permit system. We also were able to conduct the concept study for the new fire hall, and we were able to complete various capital projects and equipment purchases. So in all, I mean, 2020, given its struggles, was still I deemed to be a success, and we're looking forward to finishing off 2021. Certainly, if there's any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Okay, thank you. We'll just put a motion on the floor first that Fire Staff Report 008-2020 regarding the 2020 annual report be received for information. A mover and a seconder on that, please. Councillor Van Vliet and Councillor McClellan. And discussion, please. Councillor Cridland.
Thank you, through Mayor. Mostly, I think just comments. Again, I really appreciate the depth of these reports, and it does give us a good overview. I would encourage any citizens, wanting to see the value that our fire department brings to the township, just to look it over even briefly. Just 3 things I wanted to highlight. The bog, if we have a really dry season, that's something that can be a surprise. Again, we have to deal with, and again, people have been running long and hard, so adding another surprise. If you can comment whether there's something maybe we're doing more with the MNR or something else that we can build up our participation or our support of, if that should happen. Second one is, again, just a call out to residents. This is a busy time. We've been running long and hard. Everybody has. We appreciate everything everybody's doing, but we are getting into our busy season with our fire response and our fire team. And so everybody just do what they can over these next couple of months, especially as we come out of COVID. I know personally, I'm saying focus. It's just going to be new for some of us who haven't been out doing essential services for these last 21 months. And then the third thing I just wanted to highlight, I know we're in the process of buying this other apparatus for Burnaby. And when you look at the number of seats that we're gaining that now can sit at that or be dispersed from that fire hall, it's a really big success story, again, in the context of all the things that we're doing. But as we build out the large fire hall or the new central fire hall, this is an area that still is being looked after well with the plans that are outlined in this report. So maybe just commenting on the bog would be another just something to touch on, Chief. Otherwise, thank you for the report.
Absolutely. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to all of council. So the bog is currently owned and operated by the MPCA. If you'll recall, in 2019, when council renewed the cost and the fees for services, in there was the ability to charge the MPCA for responses within those lands. Historically, the MPCA does not pay tax on any of those conservation lands. So a practice that we've started recently was the invoice to calls on MPCA lands as a cost recovery and a way to mitigate the cost to the taxpayer. it is my understanding that the MPCA does have a relationship with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, the MNRF, for long-term responses. But ultimately, because we're out of the northern fire zone, the local municipality is responsible for any initial response. So certainly, you know, we would engage and we would conduct the initial response. But if there was any long-term firefighting efforts that were required, the MPCA, as the property owner, would be responsible for engaging any other.
Okay, I have, just referring to page 15, the drop in our calls from 2019 to 2020, from 211 to 144. Any significant reason for that? Are we expecting that? Generally, when you see a drop in something like that, it means we're doing a good job, because we're eliminating fire hazards and risks through education. In this case here, Chief?
So if you look to the comparison there, as opposed to 2019, you'll see that we responded to much more medical calls. What had happened in March at the onset of the pandemic, as I'm sure you may remember, there was a global shortage of personal protective equipment. And so what ended up happening is Niagara EMS, which is where we actually get our PPE when we do medical responses from, they ran into the shortage themselves. So all the fire departments within the region, as service partners, we ended up giving our PPE back to them, and in trade, we were no longer responding to the medicals that we had previously. We were still being called out for, those serious ones, vital signs absent, heart, cardiac events, traumas, MVCs. But there was a gross reduction in our medical calls, and that's where largely they came from. And then you'll also see that there was a slight reduction in the burning complaints as well. And I attribute that to, with the online permit system that we brought in, we were able, instead of having to respond to more and more burning complaints, we were able to check virtually if there was active permits, and instead of dispatching firefighters, we were able to just confirm via simple phone call that it was a compliant burn and carry on that way.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any other comments, questions? Okay, seeing none, motion is on the floor. Recorded vote to receive or not receive. In favor or opposed, Councillor McClellan?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet?
In favor.
Councillor Cridland?
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore?
Favor.
And I am in favor. That report is received. Very good report, by the way, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Have a good evening.
Okay, moving on to Public Works Staff Report. 14-2021 award of guide rail replacement, and we'll look to our Mr. Nan to speak to that, please.
I apologize. Sorry. Good evening, Your Worship, members of council. As the mayor has spoken, before you use the staff report 14-2021 respecting replacement of guide rail on Phillips Road. Staff went through a process of investigating the various recommended types of barriers during the investigation. Staff did identify that some of the systems that are currently being used in systems, for instance, the concrete barrier systems that you'll see on the highways, those are potential systems, as well as the steel beam guide rail, as well as the high tension cable. During the process, we identified the concrete barriers is obviously not technically a well used system in lower municipalities due to design criteria as well as cost. Additionally, while we were investigating, a couple things became evident with the high tension cable systems. For instance, operating costs would increase due to the fact that we would be required to ensure the cable tension systems are inspected twice biannually. And currently there isn't anybody locally trained and qualified to do those inspections. So that would increase our cost, as well as the recommendations of that system requires a 2-meter deflection zone free of any hazards, or which allows the vehicle to deflect up to 2 meters safely without any additional hazards. And unfortunately, due to the topography of Wainfleet and the design of our roads, we don't have a lot of areas that have an actual 2-meter clear, unobstructed clear zone behind it. So staff proceeded with a tender based on the capital 2021 budget, which council approved in accordance with our purchasing policies. We prepared the request for quotations utilizing the steel beam guide rail, which was again part of the recommendation by the roadside safety audit that was performed. And staff at this point, or this year, received one quote during the tender opening that we received, and it was from Peninsula Construction in the amount of $34,450. And staff are requesting council to direct the manager of operations to engage the services of Peninsula Construction to complete the 2021 guide rail replacement.
Thank you very much, Richard. So motion being the report 14/2021 respecting replacement of guide rail on Phillips Road be received, and that council direct the manager of operations to engage the services of Peninsula Construction to complete the 2021 guide rail replacement. Mover and the seconder to put that on the floor, Councillor Gilmore and Councillor McClellan. And is there any discussion? Oh, Councillor Cridland.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I just wanted to acknowledge also then the work that you've done, or the work staff has done, to bring us back the information we did ask as a result of a delegation to do with these guide rails. So thank you for that. You know, we've listened to the resident and tried to look into that, and I just wanted to acknowledge that that work's also been brought forward in this report. Otherwise, thank you. Okay. And I think with all three of your reports, Mr. Nan, I may be asking about timing as to when residents will be impacted by these improvements that are going into Wainfleet. Thank you.
Okay, Richard, do you want to speak to that in regards to this one, timing?
Through your worship, the interesting fact is, and we're currently going through some situations with a potential notice that we're giving to the ministry due to the detour that's been set up on Highway 58. We've been finding an influx of traffic on Phillips Road because of it, and we've advised the ministry as well, and we're going to be seeking some sort of solution from them. But it's definitely impacted the city of Welland on some of their roads as well as ours, and I believe it's just because if somebody were to use Google Maps on their phone, it's the quickest alternative to get around that detour. So, because right now they've detoured traffic all the way out to Highway 140 and back, but local people obviously know that they're not going all the way that way, so they're using our back road. So we are getting impacted, but the contractor for the guide rail, for instance, is prepared to get started in the next few weeks. It's going to be dependent on locates, etc., to get that work done.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Councillor Cridland?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just in general, when we do our projects and like this, the people most impacted, they could go to our website and maybe see that construction's is in progress for this area or is about to happen in this area. Is that kind of normally how or the signs, the orange signs go up and they know in a couple days things are going to start to happen? So there is a way for residents to check in with the township that this is going to be starting. I guess that was really the bigger question. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, through your worship to Councillor Cridland. In most projects where we require a single lane closure, we don't directly notify the residents because they'll always have one lane traffic moving. If we ever require a road closure for any work, again, we try to notify the residents that will be affected in those areas by either a letter to the residents, unless it's an emergency situation where we have to close it due to a safety issue. But we try to notify staff, and we're also going to be utilizing the region's 511 network, which is anybody can log on to that system and find out where the construction is being taken place across the region. All the municipalities are now starting to get on board with that system. And hopefully it'll be a one-stop shop if somebody's looking where these constructions are taking place.
Thank you. It's all good news. Take care.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Councillor Van Vliet.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Richard, should we wait until construction's done on 58 if you're going to have construction and then rerouted to construction?
Through your worship to Councillor Van Vliet, in the case of this, doing a guide rail replacement, they'll be just doing a single lane closure, so we'll always be able to allow traffic to move. And as far as slowing traffic down that's trying to bypass a detour, I don't mind slowing them down because currently some of the traffic on Phillips Road that aren't familiar with the area aren't even stopping for the railway crossings that have stop signs on them. So I don't mind slowing it down a bit, but we will always leave a lane closure or only a lane closure. So we'll always have traffic that will be able to utilize that road.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything further, Councillor Van Vliet? Okay, any other? Councillor McClellan?
This is to Mr. Nan, but I would think there's only 2 days' work, maybe 3 days' work to do it all anyway, so it's not a long delay.
Yeah, Richard, couple days?
Yeah, that's correct. It's 2 to 3 days tops. It may take a little bit longer because we plan on actually peeling the high shoulders as well, but it doesn't take long to do it. It's the longest time frame literally is to wait for the locates and to make sure everything's okay to put it where they need to put it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, recorded vote in favor to approve this. Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor?
And I am in favor. That is carried. Moving on to Public Works 15-2021 Award of Engineering Service for Marshfield Drive, and Mr. Nan will speak to that, please.
Thank you, Worship and members of Council. As Council is aware, following consideration of Staff Report 012-2021, on June the 1st, Council directed the Manager of Operations to follow the Township's procurement policy regarding engineering services for Marshfield Drive. Staff quickly prepared a request for quotation for engineering services for the design and preparation of tender documents for the reconstruction of Marshfield Drive, the township-owned portion of Marshfield Drive. During the quotation, staff additionally included a provisional item to include contract administration to monitor the project during the length of the project. Unfortunately, the provisional quotes came in for the contract administration was $28,000 from Associated Engineering and $23,000 from the other bidder, UEM. So at this point, staff are suggesting that the township forego the contract administration portion. We do not award that portion of it, the provisional item. And staff, to save money and administrative costs, staff are suggesting that it's performed in-house by our own staff during that project. Through the engineering, we did have 5 engineering firms actually download the documentation for review and for submission, but unfortunately, we only had 2 submissions from engineering firms. And as you can see, the results of those tender quotes, and staff are recommending that we engage the services of Associated Engineering Limited to perform those services on Marshfield Drive reconstruction.
Okay, thank you, Richard. So the motion being that PWS R 15-2021 respecting award for engineering services for Marshfield Drive be received, and that Council direct the Manager of Operations to engage the services of Associated Engineering Limited to perform engineering services for the design for Marshfield Drive reconstruction. I have a mover and a seconder to put that on the floor, Councillor McClellan and Councillor Van Vliet, and discussion. Okay, seeing no discussion, We do a recorded vote. Councillor McClellan, in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor?
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor?
And I am in favor. That is carried. And now we'll move on to surface treatment, 2021 surface treatment. Mr. Nan, one more time.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. Council approved during the 2020 surface treatment program budget deliberations the inclusion of Young Road North and Moore Road North for surface treatment. The capital portion of the road surface estimates were $144,700 is what we budgeted. Staff prepared a tender similar to various other years. We've notified the various contractors in our area, as well as posted on website and through Niagara Construction Association. This year we managed to get 3 bidders to provide us some quotations. If you'll notice, there's a great difference between what the actual price is and what the staff was recommending at the time of budget. Because at the time of budget, we were preparing to do the entire road. So we're actually going to be doing, as council suggested during the budget deliberations, that we'll be pulverizing the middle section that's completely deteriorated, and then we'll be putting a single surface or double surface treatment on that portion, and then a single surface treatment on the remaining portion of Young's Road. So that saved us some significant money. So that's why you'll see some of the large difference between what was actually estimated and what is budgeted. So staff are recommending that, again, we engage the services of the lowest bidder, which was Circle P Paving Incorporated.
Thank you. So the motion is PWSR 16-2021 respecting award of surface treatment tender for Young Road North and Moore Road North be received, and that council direct the manager of operations to engage the services of Circle P Paving Incorporated to complete the 2021 surface treatment. Mover and a seconder for that, please. Councillor Gilmore, Councillor McClellan. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. In favor or opposed, Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor?
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor?
I'm in favor. That is carried. Okay, we're going through a review of correspondence here now. And this is, I'm going to ask Councillor Cridland wanted to pull a couple of letters there to speak to. And so first one being 152-2021. Councillor Cridland.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So I think we're on the Phragmites.
Yes.
Is that the one we're on? Maybe I'll ask the clerk.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's it.
So thank you to staff. We were making small amendments to the one that came in from the other township just to customize it to Wainfleet. I am hoping that council has had a chance to look it over. The actions at the end are basically all the same, again, just inserting region. I'm not sure if you need it read again. I'm happy to do that. It's fairly long, but I'd just like it then to be endorsed and supported by council and go from there.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I don't think we want to read that. It's a couple pages. So you're making a motion that we endorse that, the township endorse that?
Yes, the revised one that has then been sent out to council and is on our agenda package.
Okay, that is the motion then. Seconder for that, please. Councillor Van Vliet. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Councillor McClellan, in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor?
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor?
And I am in favor. Thank you. We now move on to the C-181 2021 Port Colborne resolution for Niagara Central Dorothy Rungling Airport. And I think our Councillor McClellan wishes to speak to that.
Yes, so previous council So previous council had voted at the region that the region take over both airports. We now have an understanding that we don't want that. The city of Welland, city of Port Corbin, hopefully the city of Wainfleet and the town of Pelham are voting against it. We looking at it, and I sit on the board, and we sit there, and that thing can be pretty well self-sufficient in a number of years. There's been poor management, I guess, and we're saying that we can do a better job. And why would we give up an asset that we've paid for 40 years and give it to somebody with no return? So I'm hoping that we'll endorse this, and we would ask you to vote against it being uploaded to the region.
Okay, thank you. So would you like to make a motion then, being that the Township of Wainfleet
Endorses the city of Port Coburn's
correspondence?
correspondence, sure.
Okay, and that we're in favor of retaining
We want to retain the airport. under
airport
four
ownership of the
municipalities that currently own it.
Okay, can I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Van Vliet. And discussion? Okay, seeing none. In favor or opposed, Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor.
And I am in favor. That is carried. We'll now move on to Correspondence 186, 2021. And this is Township of Huron Kinloss, request for additional levy of lottery licensing to enable small organizations to obtain a lottery license. And that was pulled by Councillor McClellan, so I'll ask you to speak to that, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the small organizations in town, the Agricultural Committee, the Marshfield Heritage Committee, the Lions Club, none of these places can get a license to run anymore. They're a vital part to our community. If they could get a lottery license, they could do 50-50s, they could do stuff like that, which would help increase their viability. So I'm just hoping that we can get something like this passed and that we endorse this letter.
Okay, so just to synopsize it, you're requesting that we endorse the South Bruce Peninsula lottery request there for small organizations, and Wainfleet become a part of that. It's a motion. Okay, seconder for that, please. Councillor Gilmore. Is there discussion? Okay, seeing none. In favor or opposed? Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor.
And I am in favor. That is carried. Moving on to Correspondence 193, 2021, request to proclaim July 28th, 2021 World Hepatitis Day. Everybody's had a chance to review that correspondence. So would anyone like to make a motion in regards to that? July 28th? Councillor,
Donna's got a hand
oh,
up.
sorry. Councillor Cridland?
That's all right. Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Yes, I'll move that we support that request for a proclamation.
Okay, seconder for that, please. Councillor Gilmore, discussion? Okay, seeing none. Councillor McClellan? In favor?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet?
In favor.
Councillor Cridland?
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore? And I'm in favor. That is carried. Correspondence 194, 2021, request to proclaim September 20th to 26th, 2021, Rail Safety Week. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, seeing none. Anybody care to make the motion that we proclaim that? Councillor Gilmore makes that motion. Seconder, Councillor McClellan. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Councillor McClellan, in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore. and I am in favor. That is carried. And moving on to Correspondence 195, 2021. And I'm going to ask Councillor Cridland to speak to that, please.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Yes, again, a very timely correspondence from Canadian Federation of University of Women, and it is our own district, Welland District, highlighting, the need to amplify the voices of First Nations. So the letter is available for all of us to read and to have our own reactions to. It does specify specifically in the Truth and Reconciliation Report number 71 to 76, which I did take myself to read, and it is obviously focused on the current findings that we're all witnessing. So again, this is so locally done and so timely. I would like to make a motion that the council endorse this letter dated June 16th from the CFUW Welland chapter, and provide a copy of our endorsement back to the chapter, to our local MP, MPP, regional chair, and to all other Ontario municipalities.
Thank you very much. That's the motion. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Van Vliet. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Opposed or in favor? Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
Favor.
And I am in favor. That is carried.
Thank
Are there
you.
any other items of correspondence that any of the council members would like to pull for discussion? Seeing none, okay. We have no bylaws. Notices of motion. Are there any notices of motion? Okay, seeing none. We're prepared to move into closed session. So council item now move into closed session to discuss item under section 239(2)(b)(e) of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting a municipality or local board. One item, a drainage tribunal matter. B, item under section 239(2)(b) of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. One item, a law enforcement matter. C, item under section 239(2)(b)(c) of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land. One item, a tax sale matter. D, item under section 239(2)(e) of the Municipal Act 2001, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Two items, a potential litigation matter and a purchasing matter. And E, minutes of the closed meetings of council held May the 11th, 2021 and June 1st, 2021. Mover and a seconder, please, for that. Councillor McClellan, Councillor Van Vliet, move it. Any discussion? Okay, in favor or opposed to going closed session? Councillor McClellan.
In favor.
Councillor Van Vliet.
In favor.
Councillor Cridland.
In favor.
Councillor Gilmore.
In favor.
I am in favor. We are now going to close session.